All right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Hurley Investments market commentary of April 5th. My name is Keith Bybee. Kevin, as it happens, is out because he has COVID. So the poor thing is stuck at home and sleeping away, trying to get better. So he asked me to jump in for tonight. He seems to be dealing with it well enough. I already got questions coming in. Wow, yes. So, yeah, kind of interesting. Yeah, I think he mentioned Thursday or sometime last week one of his sons had caught it, which obviously he must have caught it from him. But he seems to be hanging in there. Got a bit of a tough headache and cold-like symptoms, and otherwise low temperature, doesn't seem to have any extreme symptoms, which is good. So you guys, he wanted me to tell you out in, I can't remember which one of, a few of you guys I think are out in North Carolina. So he's trying to, if he can get to a place where he is good enough by April 15th to take a quick test to be able to fly out. I think he said the 17th, that he was still planning and trying to see if he could make it out there to you guys in North Carolina. So still plan on that unless you hear anything different, but that's the situation right now. So what did I want to talk about today? Let's just kind of get started and get going with it. So kind of what happened today was a reaction of what came out Friday. Market was closed, obviously, but we had a good jobs report on Friday that helped, and more jobs are always good. Strength in the economy, and you're seeing a good reaction from today as we have more jobs. There's things are better, and there's less likely the Fed is going to need to raise rates sooner than later. So positive reaction there. Had this up from Y charts, and let me actually put the hyperlink in here. Just so it's there. We're not plagiarizing. So S&P ended the trading week up 1.1% last week, new highs above the 4,000 mark. And they also said optimism for accelerating vaccine distributions. First time it was over 4,000, closed over, obviously. Yeah. Doesn't talk a lot about what happened Friday. Oh, here it is. Now now we're getting it. Investors waited for the U.S. Labor Department's March jobs data released Friday. The report will follow a Wednesday release by ADP showing the U.S. private sector added more jobs than analysts expected in March, driven by more work in services industries such as leisure and hospitality as businesses continue to reopen from COVID-19 restrictions on operations. So that is kind of what is moving things. So already up, what, 2% for April, which is crazy. Where will our markets end this week? So I've got the Dow up here. Bring it up a little more large. Is definitely bullish. Same with our S&P. NASDAQ is not bearish. That was from an older thing. So I'll change that. So that was fantastic. It's been kind of a interesting first quarter. Just to give you a little of my recap of the last quarter, just kind of what it boils down to is with these tech stocks being up at all-time highs and being the huge winners from 2020, it was always going to be somewhere that profits were taken and some rebalancing of large kinds was going to happen. And that's really what has gone on the last quarter. You see a lot of the value stocks go up. Some of our tried and true stocks like Apple sort of struggle. Just to bring it up. Got the stupid predictive text. I don't know why it's doing that. Oh my gosh, I might swear. All right. Up at a high of 145. And for their last earnings that were pretty much up here at the highs. Never really closed up at 145, so I guess it would more honestly closer to 143. But had blowout earnings, good outlook for, you know, what is the word I'm trying to find? Outlook for the rest of the year for earnings. And sucker just tanked, went down. Everybody decided it was a good time to take that off the table, as Apple was getting to be too large. And of course, we had Mr. Warren Buffett, or as I like to call him, Warren Buffet, just because it's more fancy, selling a large portion of his Apple, even though his portfolio is still ridiculously highly leveraged in Apple. You know, was something like to 50% and cutting it back to 40-45% or something like that. So yeah, that kind of helped move things down, and for heaven's sakes, it's at such a great level now. It will be a huge buying opportunity. And then we had Baidu with the big winner through this first bit, and as it happens, the big loser too, all the way up from beginning of the year 220 all the way up to 350, just ridiculous numbers. And I won't go over this too much because I know Kevin has recently all through last week and what our plan is with Baidu. So you will have seen some gains from Baidu come down a bit as it's come down. And as we've made up a lot of that downward movement in either bull calls, closing our short calls, adding shares with puts, etc., we'll be profiting nicely from that as it goes back up. Kevin went over their ridiculous short float up at 6%, just crazy numbers, and the buying is going to have to happen at some point. So some things coming down, some things going up, going down. It was just kind of a crazy quarter. Also helped, I'll note, with fear of interest rates rising. Got an article that goes a little bit into that later on. Fear of inflation getting out of control, et cetera, et cetera. Both of which seem to be silly as far as why would you sell out of the stock market to go and make 1.5% in government bonds and still lose money if inflation gets up to 2%, right? Sort of ridiculous. But that's sometimes how it is. Sometimes our market is just wanting to be this obnoxious, retarded, ridiculous. I don't know. Swear word. Insert swear word here. Self-fulfilling prophecy. That was the phrase I was looking for. So, all right. I would say we're bullish on all three, but more on the NASDAQ side, as it's not at all-time highs like the other two. So, where will the S&P end April 21? I'm going with this week of 2%, but I'll have to say, if I'm looking at the whole month, something more like that. What is it that you guys think could be our catalyst to push stocks up more this month? Let me know what you guys think. Throw out a guess. I have my idea. Couple of comments coming in. Come on, guys, throw out some comments. What do you think is going to be the big push for catalyst of our stock market? No wrong answers, but I'll give you a hint. The word is just popping out. And Jim I think you've got a great idea there, kind of leaning towards that. Abraham, I'm not sure I understand. More 2T? Help me out. I'm not always very smart. What do you mean there? Oh, 2 trillion. Perfect. All right, so Abraham still planning on. Thanks, Ida. Let me get to that in just a sec. Abraham talking about the 2 trillion. We still have all that stimulus money that hasn't been, consumers are still just getting and will be spending, right? Obviously, the bill was passed. Now the actual cash is starting to flow. So definitely more spending, consumer spending. That is definitely going to be positive, I would think, Abraham. Jim, I like your answer. That's what I was going to go over. Earnings with companies having easy to beat numbers, comparable sales from last year. I think there's a good chance we'll have quite a few positive earnings, especially with our tech stocks that have kind of been crap this first quarter as far as price per share, and to see those come back. Ida mentions there will be more COVID deaths and lockdowns. Well, there will definitely be more deaths. I would hope there's not going to be more lockdowns. There's kind of been some back and forth on that. With that positive news, Ida, of how the vaccine is getting rolled out, I would at least think that the market will not assume there will be lockdowns. That's my opinion. But again, I think that biggest one is upcoming earnings in a couple of weeks. I think that will pre-earnings run, especially, will we can probably look forward to. So for the week, the only earnings now that I really jumped out at me is the Carnival Cruise Lines. We've talked a little bit about that and kind of keeping our eye on Levi Strauss, Levi brand. I don't really have anything to say on them. There's just the only other one that I saw that stuck out to me. But definitely we'll be keeping an eye on Carnival as they look to start to get back on the sea. I think there's a lot of people really tired of being locked in and really looking forward to traveling for leisure as things get going. It will be interesting to see all this talk about needing a vaccine passport and whether companies will require something like that, or the airlines might require that for travel. Kind of interesting. I would hope that that wouldn't be the case. They would need that. I think that as long as we're getting most people vaccinated, we're going to be doing well. Maybe Ida, you can give me your opinion on that, but we've got, I think, now over 100 million people vaccinated, a third of our country. I think things are looking okay on that front. Let's see. You get some economic reports here. Had them U.S. manufacturing shipments on the, well, today. So that came in. That came in positive. Let's see. Orders, new orders. Oops. Tuesday doesn't look like anything. Wednesday, U.S. trade deficit. Thursday, initial claims. And 30-year mortgage rate. Friday will be producer price index. I'll just say PPI. Didn't get a chance to look up international. I'll have to kind of add that as I get this posted. So, obviously, oh, I got a question here. All right, thanks, Ida. She says certain segments of population refusing to take vaccines. Yes. Seems like the younger population is the culprit there. Seems like pretty much everybody I've seen or know in the older segment has or will take it. Certainly anyone at risk that I know of has taken it. That's not large economic statistics, I guess, not economics, but not large statistics of the population. It's just my perspective, but yeah, I would think a lot of the younger folks, such as myself, who are less at risk, the objective part of me would think that wouldn't be a big deal with that group because obviously less at risk. But with how crazy some of the things have been, I don't put it past any of these governors or our president to, I don't know, require some crazy things, but you never know. I would hope not. Hopefully we get the older folks taken care of, though. That's who matters in this situation. How am I looking to trade? So this week, I'm going to be looking at possibly, I would like to decide whether we roll up protection on, I should say, looking at when to roll up protection on Bank of America. $40 was the number. It had gotten to a 52-week high. Didn't close above it, but positive for the day. high of 40.28. I thought about rolling. I think we have 38 strike puts that we've just had because Bank of America is as high as it's been in the last several years, and but those 38 strike puts don't get us out to earnings halfway through this month, so we're gonna have to roll it out either way. My thought is, let's see if we can't see it get up to this pivot point up at a $40.75 and see if it can continue upward and we get a better price to protect at, or rather a better strike to protect at, and roll it out. So that's what I'm looking at for Bank of America. There's a few people that I would like to get into Baidu that maybe didn't have really a lot of it on the way up, that I could argue that we should have a higher portion of portfolios attributed to. It wasn't a lot of my clients, but just a few. And at this point, if you saw what Kevin talked about last Monday, you'll know why. But I'm looking to see where a good point might be to get in to add to with more money in Baidu. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. Those are more specific, but otherwise kind of looking to see how things perform and see where we get up to. Those are the main things on my radar as I'm kind of watching things for Kevin's folks and all you other guys and gals. So I had a few articles. Let me see. So I had this one on emotions and decision making, 5 steps to improve your process. This is just one I had on from way back in November that I included in one of the commentaries I had, and I just thought it would be nice to include again. It's a good one. I'll kind of put it at the end since it's old, but we also have this one. Does anybody, by way of curiosity, know what a wash cell loss is? Take a wild guess. If you don't know what it is, that's probably because you're smart, ironically. because it means you're probably not a day trader. Oops. Let me get this out. Let's see. So basically what it is it means if you, usually for taxes, you want to, if you have some gains in an account and you want to have some losses in there to offset your gains for a year, you take a loss on some stocks so that you don't have so much gain in your account to be taxed on. That is where this comes in. So I also saw another article of a poor sucker that had a recorded gain of $800,000, but a real gain of something like 43,000 because of this wash sell rule. So what it is basically the IRS lets you count something as a loss, but if you, let's say you had Apple and it lost money and you sold it for a loss, if you buy Apple again within 30 days of before you sell it and 30 days after, I know that kind of sounds weird, but within 30 days after, we could focus on that, kind of makes more sense. If you went and bought it again 30 days, within 30 days, or I should say 31 days after you sold it, you don't get to count that sell as a loss. That is the wash sell rule. So with some of the day traders and all of these new keyboard warriors and meme stonk dorks buying and selling ridiculous amounts of stock and selling a ridiculous amount intraday, they thought they would have had a realized loss to be able to offset some of the gains, but it only works one way. So the IRS still counts, gains, but they aren't counting some of your losses you took because you bought stock back within that 30-day period, 31-day period. So just as a way of caution to you guys, I know you guys are smarter and more wise than the average investor out there, but just for education purposes, help your kids and your friends and your cousins and your family out. This is a good one to read because you really can get screwed for this. And what that guy would have had to do with the $800,000 gain that he didn't get to count any of his losses on would just be to go to his CPA, his tax advisor, tax accountant rather, and basically formulate a letter to the IRS that talks about their real gains, and basically explain that no, he didn't actually get 800,000 in gains. He was a idiot that was day trading back and forth and really only had 43,000 in gains, and you shouldn't tax him on all of that. So there are things I would assume that could be done, and you could have a qualified CPA go through that and help you, but why take that risk? All of these short-term gains or short-term capital gains just kill accounts. And it doesn't look like Biden is going to make it any easier. So there you go. Another one, this was the one, Howard Marks at Oak Tree. We've talked a bit about him and some of his little memos that he gives out. But I thought this was good to look over. He's kind of talks a little bit about what happened in 2020 just over the year, but also is more looking forward. As he says, this you might end up feeling in this memo as should have been titled preview of 2021 rather than 2020 in review. So it's an interesting outlook, some interesting questions as always he comes up with that kind of get your brain going. So check this one out. See, I think I copied here. And I don't know if I can copy the actual, since this is a PDF, I'm pretty sure. There we go. All right, computer problems. Hold on. So this was back a month ago, so it is a little older, but it's relevant. All right, so there you go. Some things that are worth looking over. And I think that's pretty much it for me. What are some questions that you guys might have? Wow, that was a long article. Get back up to the top here to close. Any thoughts or questions, guys? That really is all I had for you tonight. I think I will be the one here tomorrow night, so please come as well if you're looking and planning on doing that. Obviously, if Kevin feels up to it, he'll be here, but I'm kind of just planning on taking over unless he tells me otherwise. But that is pretty much all I've got for you today. I think that let's definitely enjoy a pre-earnings run in some of our stocks. And man, would it be cool to see Baidu head back up $100, wouldn't you say? All right, guys, I'm not seeing anything come over. Okay, here we go. Ida, any chance Baidu relisting itself from the NASDAQ? Okay, so Kevin went over this last Monday. Short answer, Ida, it's kind of an old thing that's resurfaced and not something we see as important or anything to be worried about. Come check out, I think this is, yeah, so check out the market commentary from last week, 329. Kevin goes over this in the first few minutes, so that should answer everything. Thanks, Abraham. All right, guys. Appreciate you being here. I will see you tomorrow night, or Kevin will see you tomorrow night. We'll see. And we'll go from there. No problem, Ida. Definitely a good one to check out. Last Mondays for sure, especially for talking about Baidu. So, all right, guys, take care. Good to be with you this evening. Have a good evening. Good night.